Call him the Swordfreak. Give him in a game with swordplay in it. He gonna play it all day long, then film it. Add some comments, criticism about the content in it. Plot and gimmicks, monsters, women, and what's most important, swords and physics. Lots of swinging, stabbing, cutting things, blood and gore and flying limbs, cutting meat, slicing cheese. Wait a sec, the fuck is this? Ain't no Gordon Ramsay hosting it. The Swordfreak series. Just come and see it.
Hi, I am the Swordfreak, and this time I'm going to talk about Die by the Sword.
It's a pretty unique, fantasy third-person perspective slasher made by Treyarch, released in 1999. The game tells the story of Enric, or however you pronounce his name, a warrior like swords, ham and adventures. Although a very clumsy guy, he's a glory seeker, but he also has a big problem he can't deal with.
It's his fierce craving to play with himself.
At first he was very ashamed and hid his hobby, but he gradually became shameless.
Oh damn, you're big!
To the point he stopped caring if somebody saw him. He tried to find a girlfriend, but no lady would date him, so he found other kind of company.
Ah, thank you, laddie.
But the day Enric met a girl who fell for him finally came. The night started going out with Maya. They danced together, lit fires, and indulged in romantic conversations.
Ogre-sized balls!
Unfortunately, the night Enric was going to get some pussy, the jealous kobold appeared, and Maya was abducted.
Let's stop for a moment here. Maya is a lady, but does she come any near the image of a lady in distress?
Actually, when you look at her clothes, she looks like a gladiator. Why would a gladiator have a problem dealing with so small dudes? I have no idea. Whatever, back to the story. Without a second thought, our jolly masturbator rushes after little blue sods to the cave, and that's where the action starts. From this point on, we never see the sunlight till the end of the game, but we do see a lot of red color. The only weapon Enric wields is his double-edged long sword. That's good, but look how he holds it. Like, what the fuck? Maybe it's just me, but it kinda looks like he did something like this. It's not possible to do anything with the weapon this way. Anyway, as I mentioned before, the game is unique, at least among the PC games. Why? It's because of how you control the movement of your blade. It is done by moving the mouse. No clicks, no keyboard tapping, no combos, no finishers. You simply get the freedom of movement for character's right arm. This led to my total confusion when I first played DBTS. I haven't even heard about it before playing. The game was added to a PC gaming magazine. I installed it, launched, and went straight for the quest mode. To my surprise, clicking the left mouse button only made the knight lift the sword up. I had no idea what was going on. Is it an attack or what? Checking the controls hasn't helped because there is no attack button to set. Even worse, I had no internet connection back then, so I couldn't check it there either. But I somehow learned the controls, probably from the tutorial, which is fortunately a part of the game. Let's go back to the fighting system. You can cut left, right, upwards or downwards, diagonally or with a circular motion. It's possible to do what you want, besides stabbing. You can swing the weapon while on the ground or in midair, when you crouch or do flips. You are also allowed to block the attacks with your shield, which moves in accordance with the slashes you perform. Moreover, weapons can and do collide a lot. Due to the fact that the characters in the game don't wield children's toys, the gore is quite excessive. When you hit, bloody pixels spray around and the part of the body you attack becomes red.
What? Haven't you ever had geometrical shaped wounds?
The developers enabled players with diverse choice of mutilation possibilities, as you can cut off all the limbs at the joints and decapitate your foes. Fortunately or not, the bodies don't disappear, so you can keep on slicing them, which creates situations like this.
Steel, bitch! Taste steel!
That's pretty fucked up, isn't it?
Enric can pick up legs, heads and arms scattered on the floor and throw them or use them to bash the enemies, but the damage dealt with the flesh is really low. By the way, if you deprive an opponent of his armed hand, it renders them totally harmless, which in turn allows you to happily slap him around.
Look at that puny piece of shit. I really like to torture these annoying turds myself. Blue motherfucker. Where are we? Ah, yes, the fighting system.
Even though you get the freedom of movement, most of the time you will be swinging the sword left and right, as it is the most efficient way to kill your adversaries. It's repetitive, nevertheless enjoyable. Oh, and I almost forgot. Pressing left mouse button makes you block with the sword. You can still steer it, and it only results in this bizarre windshield wiper motion. Since the attacks are performed with the mouse movement, the mobility in the game is quite impaired. The keys A and D are used for turning by default, and if you want to strafe you have to use 2 more keys. That's 6 keys for walking only. It's unacceptable. It would turn out a lot better if there was a lock-on, just like in, for example, Dark Souls or Blade of Darkness. Die by the sword is quite inventive and sometimes lets you choose paths. The proof of both points is near the beginning of the first level of the quest. You enter a room where there is a trap and you find yourself hanging on a rope by a foot. You can cut the rope first or fight the enemies while hanging and cut yourself off afterwards, as well as go to the room through a side tunnel and avoid getting caught in the trap. The game isn't too easy, but not too hard either. When it comes to combat, you're sure to win eventually if you keep trying. Progressing usually requires finding keys or pulling levers or solving some puzzle, but there are a few moments which are a bit too cryptic, like in the last level where you have to know there is a secret passage in the wall. Overall, the design of the levels is good. They are various, filled with traps, secrets, and there is even some platform jumping, for example this pendulum section, which can be quite aggravating.
The last thing worth mentioning about the quest mode is the final boss battle. He's, how should I say it, unbalanced?
You have to jump on platforms till you reach this mage. The platforms ascend and descend, making you have to wait to make the jump, and they fall into lava if you stay on them for too long. While you jump, the villain casts these lightning bolts your way, and for some reason Enric randomly falls and sometimes fails to grab the ledge of another platform, which by the way you have to perform manually. So when you finally reach the platform with the boss, you'd think that you need to slash the shit out of him, but no. When you run towards him, he teleports, continuously striking you with magic, which pretty much insta-kills you. At least that was the case when I got to him. So the only thing you can do is dodge the antagonist's attacks and hit Maya trapped in the ice. But why would you do the latter? It's your girlfriend, plus when you do hit her, our hero gets knocked over, so a logical conclusion is that you did something wrong before the boss battle. Well, nothing more misleading. You actually are supposed to keep attacking Maya while getting knocked over and dodging your opponent's magic until she is freed. And then it turns out that the same girl who was abducted by tiny blue rat people saves your ass during the final boss battle because Enric faints.
Farewell, hero. Your tyranny is ended, wizard. Sleep in a bed of blood.
So in the end, we learned that love can beat evil. Or something.
Besides the quest mode, there's also Arena, where you're allowed to fight as any of the characters present in the game, including the orcs, which I find quite bizarre. Seriously, I appreciate the originality, but really? Fat guys with boar heads? Anyway, there are a few stages to choose from, with traps or not, and there's not much else to say about the mode. I can only add that Arena was made for a multiplayer experience, but sadly I couldn't connect when trying to check it out, even when using the Game Ranger, which is a very handy tool when it comes to online gaming. It's even sadder when you know that there is an expansion for DBTS called Limb from Limb, which adds a possibility of co-op and playing ball using a kobold. It's a little bit old game, but you can still buy it along with the expansion on GOG.com. But as far as I know, they made no effort of making the game function on new systems, so if you plan on playing it supposedly with no issues, you'd better find the extended mod on the internet. All in all, Die by the Sword is a really fun game. It's got fighting, gore, puzzles and the platform game aspects. The plotline exists in the game, and the graphics, it was 98. Plus I assume they had to be sacrificed for quite advanced physics engine for those times. I sincerely recommend anybody to play it. One more thing. What I find astonishing is the fact that for 16 years now nobody has made a remake or simply a game with similar fighting mechanics for PC. With today's technology they could make something really marvelous, but I figure these days originality is not sought after.
To conclude this video, I only say that Enric and Maya had a nice reunion. See you guys.
Ah! My jewels! Ah! Oh! Ooh, ah! Oh! Hot! Hot! Oh boy! Ouch! Ouch! Ouch!